Welcome back to the daily. Oh, we're learning to be a better gamer. I have some food in my mouth. I'm sorry. Let me. Excuse me. Hi. Hello. We were just talking about life and how he's really good. And in particular, we were seeing how he set himself up to be in this leading position going into the around 12-minute mark. Now, for any of you who have read one of the greatest works of fiction of all time, The Sandman, you'll know how it starts out. There is an arrogant asshole. I don't know what he is. He's like a mortal man. He's like a human who's like a practitioner of the dark arts who wants to try to capture death. But he accidentally captures Dream, the Sandman. And, you know, he's frustrated that he didn't capture death, but there he has Dream encased in some, I don't know, a glass bauble or whatever. And this young mortal, all power hungry, you know, demands power and secrets from Dream, the Sandman. Please, tell me everything you know. I will become the most powerful man in the world. And what the Sandman does is he's immortal. So he simply sits there quietly, waiting for his captor to die. Isn't that that's how it starts. Oh my god. He just waits for his captor to die. And whenever you get a significant lead in StarCraft 2, if you kill off a huge attack, you don't ever have to do anything special. You simply have to wait for your opponent to die. With some nuance, which fucks up the poetic aspects of it. But seriously, in this spot where life has this wonderful lead, life doesn't really need to do a huge amount. I mean, MMA's going to be getting a little low in his main soon. MMA hasn't really powered up. Really, life just needs to rock hard on his economy. I'm going to close this. Actually, I should probably leave that open. He's defending, he's building mutalisks. And all the attacks that we're going to see life make are very simple. First, something that we will see life do all the time. Tiny squad of units over here. Not even in a control group. Wow. Yeah, like, this Zergling squad is classic life. Classic life. Most of the time, Zergs know that you need to have all your Zerglings and your Banelings and your Mutalisks all at home defending the big attack. But a handful of Zerglings, like these 16 Zerglings, aren't really going to tip the tide. They're not going to be the big decision maker that lets life win a major engagement. But they will let him kill off almost all the SCVs back here. Again, if you have ever killed off a huge attack, your opponent is very often even more vulnerable to counterattacks. A player who has done an early attack often doesn't have good defenses at this base because he hasn't had all that time to build a nice wall and build bunkers and that sort of thing. So let's watch the ways in which life is aggressive. They're all very tame. None of which is too complicated. I mean, look, these are just classic, simple engagements. Mutas shoot the medevac, slings and banelings kill everything else. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Can you kill anything more? Well, we kill what we can. No real big risks taken. These dudes are waiting for an attack to be like here. Let's look at life. Has some dudes mining. Has the macro hatch. Just sitting. He's waiting for his opponent to die. He is being the Sandman. Really simple engagements. No need to be too risky. See, the Zerglings decided to begin to come forward. Oh! Didn't see a good opportunity. Just waiting. No rush on the geysers. Just waiting patiently. The only offense that we see life do is really cautious offense. He's not doing anything creative with these units. Everything is rallied into his main. Mutalisk dealing damage. What if units appear in this alleyway? Well, then these guys will spring into action. And the Mutalisk will pull back. Yeah, I mean, this is a very simple, clean closeout to a game. But again, it can't ever be under-stressed. If you have a big lead, in economy. Just wait for your opponent to die. You don't even have to do this, but you can if you're Life. Why is Life attacking now? Because he's maxed. There's a drop. You don't even have to do this attack. You can just sit at home defending drops, harassing with mutas, letting your opponent slowly die. Build more banelings. Banelings are exactly what you should be building when you're maxed. Right, nothing too complicated. Alright, since that game wasn't particularly complicated past what we did in part 1, this is going to give us a chance to hop into part 2. Excuse me, into game 2 of part 2. And I want to emphasize those 3 things again. The queen-focused opening, the moment of recognition as to what the opponent's doing, and then, why is the response to that moment correct? Which is very easy, because Life and, well, the WCS replays, we just see players making a lot of correct decisions. And there are oftentimes multiple correct choices. You can choose to do macro in almost any spot where you have the correct edge. That's a completely acceptable mindset. But why I'm so excited about this daily today, as you could probably tell, is that Life is doing timing attacks. And this is like the first game in this series, but like the, I don't know, the 5th game versus Terran that we've seen of Life in these last few weeks, where Life does like a timing attack. Life goes, hatch, pool. Little bit of a different opening. A teensy bit different. On 3-player maps, players do like to go barracks, barracks in the middle. I can completely understand arguments for wishing to go gas pool or pool gas. I think they're both, again, equally fine. They just face very different challenges. So let's see what Life's up to, man. He can't see anything. He gets the 4 lings as usual. He's going to pull dudes out of gas. He's going to get the speed as usual. Nothing too crazy going on right now. Now, we've talked about how Life is going to be doing a queen-focused opening, where he's using the queen for defense. This little trick, I love. 4 Zerglings get built. Life will always make use of these things. The traditional mindset of a Zerg player is, don't make Zerglings, make only drones. And if you have ever made a Zergling, you have failed. You will see this mindset everywhere. Any Team Liquid forum, any, well, not on /r/Starcraft, because they don't talk about Zerg vs Terran on there. They're talking about other things right now. But if you see anywhere where there's discussions of strategy going on, there's that mindset that Zergs got to just be building drones. And if you build Zerglings at any point, something bad's happened. But Life is always going to show us neat, cool, new ways to make those Zerglings feel like they're better choices than drones. So these 4 Zerglings that come out are going to be able to waltz forward. And very often you'll see Life do these moves where Zerglings will be skirting hard along these edges or pulling all the way around like this. Okay, let's talk about build order. A queen-focused opening, I say. A queen-focused one. Look at this. Hatch goes down first. Now, typically, this hatch goes down at 6 minutes. It's going down at 5 minutes! Whoa! That's so early. So what I'm first going to do right now is show you and justify the timing of Life's defense. So he's still just building drones. Again, we're going to just be moving ahead, moving ahead, moving ahead, moving ahead, moving ahead. There's going to be some more queens getting built. Here's a queen. There's another queen. And then this guy's going to get done, and there's going to be yet another queen. Notice that it's 6:30. 6:30 is around the time these queens are here. 6:30 is when there's 2 queens there, and these other queens are up, and then we have around 7 minutes the join happens between them. Okay, cool. Why is that okay? Why does that feel okay at all? Well, let's look at our Terran friend and see what our Terran friend does. Command center first. Barracks. Gas instantly. Do-do-do-do. Factory goes down. Gee, when were those queens at the front? When were they? The Hellions pop out at around 6:16, and that's when these queens are already marching their way to the front, and when we already have these two queens, okay, yeah, cool! It seems like a good and reasonable play. And what you'll see is that there are, in almost any of the ways where a Terran player is getting these Hellions up, these queens wind up with a very nice timing to be at the front. In other words, going hatch and then getting these queens up is fantastic against almost anything that would be considered an early expand. Now let's come back to the story of these Zerglings. Zergling number 1 spots the bunker, pretty much guaranteed to be an early expander. And we're still going to see these lings try to make themselves as useful as possible. Because again, it's very easy to just be like, well, back home they go. So let's see what life is going to be doing for information. Queen going down. Queen going down. Zergling speed is done. Alright, just poking up, just making sure. Supply depots here are a pretty clear indication of an early expand. We're playing in the dark right now, right? We haven't seen anything else. At around 6:30, we begin to get some more stuff. Kind of messed this up a little bit, but the Hellions came out and killed off one Zergling, and life just, with 4 Zerglings, splits one off, splits these two this way, and now we begin to see why 4 is a very useful number. If there were 2 Zerglings, the Hellions would come down and immediately kill one, and then Zerg would be able to react. And then Zerg would have 1 Zergling. That's just going to get chased down. Yeah, I mean, great. So they're pulling this way, so this guy can chill over here. And we see these overlords that get sent in. This is not like one of the very early overlords, but checking in at around 7 minutes is useful if you can't get a sense. What you'll see out of life right now is the exact same structure that we saw out of him in the last game. We have 4 queens. We're going up to a 5th. We have the ability to get a 6th. We have a 3rd base up. We've built almost only drones. And now here comes life, marching straight on in here with an overlord trying to identify what's going on. 8 Zerglings getting built. Is this the sign of an all-in? Well, for one, look directly to the left. Surprise! 4 drones. Okay, there's no all-in. So far, so good. These 8 Zerglings, same thing that we saw in Deadwing. Life just getting some Zerglings to be able to have a little bit of utility. So great. Life gets in here, sees this glorious setup, and I mean, this is just perfect. This is just fresh meat written all over it. First of all, this starport is not making Banshees, and Banshees are really good against Banelings. Cool, we don't have to worry about that. What else is good against Ling Baneling? Well, Hellions are good against that, and, well, gee, he's not going to be making those anytime soon. Yeah, he's actually just going to be kind of building Marines one at a time and maybe get a medevac. Alright, and of course in the unit count we see there's 2 Hellions and some mines, and that's about it. So let's check out what life does, right? He's still getting the evolution chambers. He starts building, he still has the 5th queen. Baneling nest going down just as before. Same thing as before, and now he's just going to begin flooding lings, because it's a very simple, easy kill from here. This is a timing window. Why? Because look at when all these things will be getting done. Just take yourself a look. This generally is getting an add-on for the barracks, so it's very likely for life to expect a player to have nothing coming out of that factory. It will have a tank instead of nothing. Did he do the drop yet? Wait, did I miss the drop? No, I guess. Well, pretend that the drop did come in and did threatening things. No big deal. I mean, we have the queen here. We would just build a little spore crawler there. These Zerglings are just chilling back here, just in case, to defend the drop. And then watch the simplest moves of all. All Zerglings on defense duty. All of them back home on defense duty. And then once we... Okay, they're all... And then once banelings get produced, then life brings everything. But again, this is just like such an almost guaranteed kill that it's hard for MMA to do much else. Because this is not some lings. This is 70 lings with 14 banelings. Like, the tank might full well just be there sieged up. Doesn't matter. It's a kill. Like, there's 2 tanks out here. I mean, this sucks. Don't get me wrong. This is painful for MMA fans. This was painful to watch. It just did not really matter. With that very, very early expansion, Life is not skimping ultra heavily on powering aspects either. He has many drones. He doesn't have 1-1, although he did build the 2 evolution chambers. He still gave himself the flexibility to do that, but again, no Banshees, late barracks, and no Hellions getting produced. Just moves in. Really cool timing window. And the last thing that I will stress before going on to the next game is that timing windows are based upon, well, as you might imagine, windows of time. It's not just get it fast, get it quick, get it dirty. Actually, I gotta come back here for it to make the most sense. Okay. If this barracks is getting started at 7 minutes, it takes about a minute to build, so it'll be done at 8:15. The first Marines that will pop out of it, since they take 30 seconds, will be at like 8:45, just round. Only at 9 minutes will this barracks have been able to do anything. This factory generally will have been just building reactors, but even so, as we're just looking at these structures right now, let's look at the times when these structures will have, at the very first moment, been useful. This is still building add-ons. There's always this period of time where Terran's getting all sorts of add-ons. So, okay, get your add-on. So the first time that, okay, at 8:30, this guy's out. At 8:40, these 2 Marines are out. So, alright, after all that time, this is all that Terran's has. 3 units. And if he's hoping on getting any other add-ons, you know when he's going to be weak? A little after 9. Look, these we'll just get started. It will just have been able to get started. Shoink. So, in essence, Life is striking a little after all these buildings have had any use at all. A little bit after. There's a little bit of judgment that goes on here. You could say, how many units can I have at his base at 8:40? How many units can I have at his base now at 9:40? And you'll see that it's just like a ridiculous shitload increase for Zerg. And therefore he breaks in. Huge windows, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, splitting things up to be wise, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. GG, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. A timing window! A Zerg timing window from the heavens! From the heavens! Let's see what else we got going on. Foxtrot Labs. Do I actually want to skip over briefly? Nah, I'm gonna do this one. Because this one is an example of, I think, Life getting into a good spot, but just getting hurt hard due to the map. Also, I have very poofy hair tonight. Feels good. Feels good to have poofy hair. Alright, let's watch this from Life's point of view and see, again, that setup. Last game, MMA did the same setup. Got himself the early third. He identified, by floating his Overlord in, what the Terran player was doing, and then struck at a beautiful timing window. Literally, almost exact same opening. 2 games in a row. And in game 3, we're seeing the starts to roughly the same thing. Overlord's at the front, cross-map positions, the only thing possible. Overlord heads right on in, on in. Do 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 do. Peaks. Ooh, an expansion. Looks just like a dude who went Reaper to me. Oh. Oh, what do you know? It's a Reaper. Those 4 Zerglings got made. We're starting to, again, see their use again and again. 4 Zerglings early on to deal with the Reaper. 4 Zerglings early on to head out as fast as they humanly possibly can to do useful things. Destroying rocks. 1 queen gets built. How long does life wait to take this expansion? Well, typically, I feel like life would want to have taken this sooner. He took it at 540 on Deadwing. He's taken it more to normal time. It's just a little farther away. It's a little bit more inconvenient to get to. It's easy to have these rocks not down. So I can understand why he would get this a little sooner. So the Zergling speed's done. We're still getting the queens. 6 minutes is still the mark that we put dudes back into gas and get another gas. Everything looks the same. A little before 7, charging in, just the same. Sees a starport. Doesn't get much other info than that. It's nice to see that there's a starport with no add-on, right? That's going to be super helpful. Immediately we see all the overlords pull in. This is like a very subtle thing, but just so important. There's a lot of value that life is saving here. He builds some Zerglings as well, because he's always going to build some Zerglings between 6 and 8 minutes. Just a few. We'll see them used. And how many queens? Oh, he's at 5, and I tell you, he's going to get a 6th one right there. 2 evolution chambers. Oh, he's getting a +1/+1. Same stuff. Oh, Baneley Nest. Oh yeah, look at that. He just gets it. So those Zerglings that just so studiously knock down a wall. Queens at home. We said this before, we'll say it again. The queens are what allow those Zerglings to be aggressive. Zerglings going all the way over to the 3rd. Right away. Just checking up on the 3rd is fantastic. You get some of them caught off there, which kind of stinks. Now, in terms of just a total loss, there's a little more loss for Zerg than is lost for MMA, but I still think it's kind of okay. I think that is kind of the beauty to Life's style here, is that he is not reliant on super fast layer or any other super fast component. He's going very slow, he's building up lots of drones, he's playing very calmly and defensively. Let me actually zoom out. Oh, I can zoom out. It's fantastic. I love this. So super late layer. I almost feel like Life gets his layer when he can. And I don't know if there's anything particularly huge to learn, per se. We've seen Life continuing to send out like a single Zergling around the fringes, trying to get information, more Zerglings shooting out along these fringes. Just trying so hard to get extra information. I mean, again, MMA is doing these drops, which I mean, I think this drop is like okay. This is kind of like a fine drop. Zergling almost gets to the 3rd to see that there's no 3rd. And I feel like if I had to point to like a moment in the game, it would probably be this one right here. As uneventful a moment as it is, where this Zergling is heading up here, because that's a possible 3rd. And where's the other Zergling? Yeah, this Zergling is headed... I actually think it gets misclicked somewhere. It's like, yeah, it's headed right here. Right? I get the feeling that what Life did is he just clicked on the minimap and he meant to click here. It doesn't make sense to sit here. There's no... This is so much more important to know what's up with the 3rd. So if we follow the life of this little Zergling... I mean, he does what he's told. I feel like this Zergling needed to cut down and get there. Like, needed to. Because now it just goes here. which is kind of a random spot. And then we see drones start to get built. And then we see more drones start to get built. And we see more geysers going down. We see macro hatch and drones and drones and drones and drones galore are getting built. This guy's monitoring the reasonable third. Look at all the drones getting built. I really feel like it's this round. If banelings get made right now, some sort of just simple precautionary banelings, I think life winds up okay. Because, you know, in the drone count, he's ahead. In the army supply count, he's behind. Because MMA is about to exploit the most obnoxious thing in the world. I think it's easy to look at this and to say, oh, well, dude, that wouldn't happen on any other map. I'm just going to downvote Foxtrot Labs. If you just check and see there's no third, then it begins to make a lot more options become available. So, I mean, a lot of people like to be upset and say Zerg doesn't have enough scouting options. You can't scout as Zerg. Oh my god. This is a game where there's a loss to scout, but it's the easy scout. It's the scout on the third. It's like the scout that you get to have. So, I mean, it's kind of all downhill from here. I mean, with the amount of Zerglings that were lost in that little corner, I mean, that's... Oh, God, it's, like, so painful to see. But, I mean, if you have some Banelings and some Queens, and you're shooting at the Metavacs, I think you're going to be okay. You'll notice that no Mutalisks have been made at any point in this game. Life is not quite able to deal with this. And I would point back to that one scouting mistake moment. Here. Let's see what actually went on in MMA's base. Let me zoom as far back out as I can. Get some Hellions, get some mines, and he gets the star port this time. Doo-doo-doo-doo. And then he goes insane with production. Like, gets the factory add-on, and then uses it. So he's going like 2 barracks, and factory, and starport, all non-stop production, man. That is expensive. You have to cut SCVs to be able to pull that off, which we see MMA has exactly done. I mean, he's cutting it all. Only 1 engineering bay. No armory in sight. No armory. These 2 puppies getting ready to churn out. Yeah. I mean, MMA is in this to win this. There's the armory. Only for fire bats, though. I think he only gets +1 and doesn't get +2, I think. Is that what happened? I think he does. Come on. Hit that button. Does he get nothing? Oh, I could swear he gets armor. Okay, there we go. Yeah, look at the combat shield, like super light combat shield. Has won the game. I mean, this was MMA getting... Like, there's not even a 3rd command center going down now. I mean, this is how all-in-ish he was. So let's see, we're going to... Yeah, this is perfect. We've seen 3 games now. We have seen that life has a very flexible opening that lets him make very key decisions. The most important thing he must see is what's going on at the 3rd base. But if those Overlord scouts get in there and spot useful information, we've seen that life actually has some cool Baneling, all-in looking timing attacks in his repertoire. Ooh, so sexy. So when we come back, we'll watch the last 2 games in the series, wrap it up, take some questions, take a walk on the beach, something like that.